Shalom. Today in Hashkafas Torah, Jewish philosophy, we're going to study the idea of erasing God's name. There's actually a Torah prohibition of erasing one of God's seven names. The idea behind this can seem strange because really, what's the difference if we erase one of God's names? We know as Jews we can't affect God, can't change God's emotions. God doesn't have emotions. Can't change God because God doesn't change. So really, what's the idea behind the prohibition of erasing one of God's names? And the idea is it has nothing to do with God. Like all mitzvahs don't affect God because nothing affects God. Rather, the idea is for us, for the Jewish people. We have to have a certain respect for God. We have to have a certain awe of God. That's one of the 613 mitzvahs. That awe and fear, that yiras Hashem that we have, has to manifest itself in different actions. Erasing something is a way that human beings show that it's not important. We talk about evil people and we end their name by saying Yimach Shemo, their name should be wiped out. If God forbid we would do that with somebody who's a tzaddik, a righteous person, or to God's name, that would show a lack of respect to God's name and to God. And therefore, the idea is that for ourselves, and again, this is a principle that applies for many, many mitzvahs, for ourselves, we don't erase God's name. We're very careful about that. So, for instance, if you had a piece of paper, you wouldn't, and you wrote God's name on it, you wouldn't erase it in order to use the piece of paper for something else. That name of God could never be erased. Okay, that's today's lesson in Jewish philosophy. Shalom.